Let me start with something you busy ladies out there do not want to hear. You do not lack time, you lack mental space. No amount of planners, routines, productivity, hacks are going to fix that mind of yours that is running on overload all day long. Mental energy, not time, is the real bottleneck for women over 40. Which is why we're continuing with the series Energy Reset After 40, diving into mental energy hacks for busy women. That is what we're talking about today on the podcast. So if you need to catch up on this series, the Energy Reset After 40, go back and listen to the January 9th podcast called Fatigue Isn't Normal After 40. That is where the series begins, and we have one more coming up in the series, and then we're going to jump to another series. So I would love to know what you're thinking about this series. This is something new I'm trying with a podcast, and I thought it'd be different and spice things up a little bit. So welcome to Weight Loss for Women Over 40. I am your host, Nikki T. And if you think you need more willpower, stricter food rules, or another diet plan, think again. This podcast is about rewiring the beliefs, your habits, your patterns that actually drive your weight. So you can lose it without obsessing, without restriction, and without hating the process. Isn't that nice? Welcome into my world. I have been doing this for a very long time. I started my business in 2006. I became a personal trainer in 2002. When I found mindset was halfway through my career, and that was when everything shifted for me and for my clients. So this is what I'm all about now. I done with dieting, ditch the diets. Come on, it's time. So I wanted to let you know that my small group program is now accepting applicants. This is the 12-week program that is going to help you rewire the way you think so you can make real and lasting changes in your life. And the extra bonus side effect is that you lose weight. If you're looking for some diet or some sort of meal plan, then I am not the coach for you. I deal with mindset. Yes, we can talk about nutrition. Yes, we can talk about workouts, that kind of thing. I got you on that. But if you're looking for some meal plan you're not gonna follow in 2 weeks, or some diet, I'm not your coach. So I am very selective about who I work with. And so if you're wanting something permanent that is easy and doable, where you get to eat all your favorite foods, then go to weightlossforwomenover40.net/group and fill out the form to be on the small group waitlist. So it is starting soon. It's going to start in February. So definitely get in. I'm only taking 15 people, and those spots are already filling up. So get in there now if you want to be in this group. So, all right, so let's dive into the topic today, mental energy hacks for busy women. I just want to make sure that this podcast is actually recording, and it is, so we're all good. So, there's nothing worse than doing a whole podcast and realizing I didn't hit the record button. Been there, done that. It's very frustrating. Anyway, so let's talk about mental energy hacks for busy women. So, why are you mentally exhausted even though you might not be doing much? I think that there are times in our lives when we're running around taking kids here and there and doing all the things, and there's a physicality to it. But there's also times when you're not doing that much and you just feel mentally exhausted or you're doing your daily routine. So, again, most women think mental exhaustion comes from doing too much. That's physical. Like, if you can separate your mental and physical, that's a game changer for you. But it's not always the case that more physical activity is why you're so mentally exhausted. So, mental fatigue comes from holding too many open loops. It's from constantly self monitoring yourself, what you're doing, what you're eating, what you're not eating, that ping pong match in your head that I've talked about before. It also comes from emotional responsibility for others. Ladies out there, I just was on a call the other day with a woman, and she is feeling the stress of taking care of everyone else. And it's not that you just like ditch everyone and, become this like arrogant person that only thinks about themselves. But again, you got to take care of yourself and let go of the emotional responsibility for others. The other thing is decision making without recovery. So your brain isn't tired because it's busy, it's tired because it never shuts down. That background noise in your head, that ticker tape of thoughts and stuff is on a constant loop. And after 40, your tolerance for that kind of cognitive noise drops significantly. You've been doing this for so long, and your brain is just done compensating. So we talk a lot about pushing through. You hear me call it the suck it up buttercup like mentality. And I get that. I was a former professional ballet dancer. So I started ballet when I was 4 years old. I wasn't a professional at 4, but I danced starting at 4 and I didn't stop until 30. Um, that mentality of like do or die, push through, doesn't matter. I think it has its purpose, but I think again, it's got to be part of the equation, but it's not the main focus. Because you guys, we think that if you just focus really hard on it and like you just muster through, you'll get through this. And yeah, you might get through it, but what's the damage that you're doing inside that mindset, inside that brain? Because your focus is a limited resource, right? Every time you focus and concentrate without relief, like do, you borrow energy from later. That's why at the end of the day, you feel foggy, you feel burnt out, you're a little snappy maybe, you're emotionally flat, and you have trouble making simple decisions. This, of course, is the best time when your primitive brain's like, ooh, we should eat that entire bag of chocolate chip cookies. That's a good idea because I need a reward for surviving today. It's not a lack of discipline for you, it's mental depletion. So I'm going to give you some hacks that you can implement. And the first hack is stop completing thoughts that don't matter. So this is really subtle, but very powerful. Your brain is constantly trying to complete thoughts. Your brain is constantly trying to solve the problem. What if I forget XYZ? I should remember to, whatever it is. Don't forget later. These incomplete loops drain your energy. And instead of holding on to them, release them immediately. This is why we have post-it notes. This is why we have notes in our phone. Write it down, say it out loud, let it leave your head. For me, a lot of times when I tell somebody, hey, I remind me to do this, it's not that I actually need them to remind me. It's because I'm verbalizing it to them and I am going to remember it. Just as a side note, too, the way we say things is very important. If you say don't forget, your brain doesn't hear it, like doesn't hear the not. So it's going to hear do forget to go pick up the laundry, to forget to whatever it is. Staying in the positive frame of your sentences is going to help you tremendously. This is why when I do say something to somebody of like, remind me to, my brain puts a little pin and says, ooh, that's a reminder. I have to remember to do that. Not, hey, don't let me forget to, because then my brain's like, oh, I should forget it. So get that stuff out of your head. This is why I love legal pads, writing things down, that kind of thing. Again, it can get a little bit overwhelming if you're not concise with it. I do talk about in one of the podcasts about like your to-do list. Doesn't have to be long. It can be like a brain dump where you're verbally vomiting all of it on a piece of paper and then chunk it down into what you are planning on doing that day or that next 5 minutes or whatever it is. That's a good way for your brain to process it as opposed to just verbally vomiting and leaving all these things on a paper. Your brain, it's still chaos for your brain. So Mental clarity isn't about thinking better, it's about thinking less. Hack number two is reduce decision frequency, not options. Okay, so decision fatigue is real. And I feel like over 40, it compounds because not only now are we dealing with ourselves, but then we have to worry about your partner, your kids, your grandkids, your neighbor, your adult, your parents. We're in the sandwich generation a lot of times. But the solution isn't rigid routines. It's fewer decisions that require emotional release. It doesn't have you carrying around the weight, the emotional weight, right? So ask yourself, does this actually need a decision right now? Or am I rehearsing outcomes unnecessarily? Yesterday, because I am human, right? I go through this stuff too. I definitely know how to self-coach myself, but this stuff comes up for me in my life. So I don't want you to think that I have it all together and it's all perfect. So, but the thought rumination definitely came up for me the other day, and I was rehearsing outcomes that probably will never happen. There's, and of course, there's a lot that goes into this, meaning there could be a version of you, and I know for me, this is the case of like rumination can come from trauma, can come from things that happened to you in the past where you feel like you need to find the solution for safety, right? And that's a whole nother topic. But there are times too when you're just ruminating because you're allowing your brain to ruminate. You're rehearsing outcomes that may never happen. Oh, I should have said XYZ to so and so. That kind of thing, right? Or I should have done this differently. Most decisions don't need urgency. Urgency is what drains your mental energy. So if you find yourself in this like anxiety of like, oh, I have to make a decision or I have like that franticness, that's your primitive brain running on overdrive. That's you now questioning, going, okay, does this really need to be solved right now? So the third hack is stop pre-processing other people's reactions. Oh my gosh, I love this. So this one alone will free you hours of mental energy. If you constantly think, how will they feel if I say XYZ? How will they feel if I don't show up? How will they feel if I do show up? What are they going to think? What are they going to think when they hand me a cake and I say, I'm really not hungry right now. I don't want to eat it. What about if you're thinking, like, should I explain myself more? This needs an explanation. I need to explain why I'm doing XYZ. No, you don't. You don't. You don't need to worry about what other people think to some extent, right? We're not being a-holes to everybody. You're doing emotional labor before it's even required. So say you say something and you feel like, ooh, I shouldn't have said that because that's not a nice thing to say, then take ownership, apologize, do what you have to do. But if you're saying something out of love and compassion for somebody and they take it and misconstrue it, that's on them. You can try to explain yourself if you want to, but again, that's their mind drama. So you carrying around this teeter-totter of extra thoughts of like, ooh, I should explain myself. I need to validate why I think this way. Not necessarily. So your brain treats imagined conversations as actual conversations, like real conversations that have happened. Tell me this, because I can relate to this. I used to do this a lot. I don't do it anymore as much. But especially back when I was younger and I was dating, I would replay conversations over and over and over and be like, oh, maybe I should have said this. And if this conversation happens, this is what I'm going to say, right? At the time, I didn't know mindset. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know the trauma that I was running on, right? But I spent a lot of mental energy just thinking of conversations that never happened, right? It's exhausting. Let people respond in real time. If they haven't verbally said it to you, it doesn't exist. Get out of their heads. Get out of thinking, oh my gosh, they're thinking this. You don't know what they're thinking unless they verbalize it to you. Unless they sit down and tell you, hey, this is what I thought of our conversation or what you did or whatever. Other than that, let it go. You don't know, right? And if somebody's not willing to step up and say, hey, this bothered me or whatever, that's their lack of maturity, and that's something they have to deal with. Your job is not to emotionally manage the future nor the people around you. Hack number 4, create cognitive off moments. So mental energy returns when your brain isn't being evaluated. It's not about scrolling. We're not learning things. We're not improving, just very neutral moments. Staring out the window, walking without input, meaning walking in nature, not listening to, except for my podcast, right? Not listening to podcasts, not not doing anything, letting your mind wander, right? This isn't laziness or like boredom, it's neurological recovery. And most women are starved for it. We're so constantly thinking of the next thing or what should I have said and blah, blah, blah. Start daydreaming. Doesn't have to be all day long, but take a chunk, 5 minutes. This is why meditation is so helpful. It clears your mind. And I want to just offer for you guys that are kind of stepping into meditation or you're interested in it, it's a practice. You're not going to get it the first time you do it. And you're never going to get it really, the more you do it. Um, the more you do it, you will get better at clearing your thoughts. But there are going to be times, I know when I meditate, there are some times when, it just feels so amazing and it's freeing and my brain is like a clean slate. And then there are other times that the squirrels in my brain go running around like crazy and just are chattering away. Okay. So if you're interested in taking a meditation or doing a meditation, just start off small. It's a practice. Okay. Um, I have done a podcast on meditation. I honestly don't remember where it is, but you can always go to my website, weightlossforwomen over 40.net/blog, blog. All my podcasts are hosted there. I'm pretty sure you can search in there and look up, just put in meditation and that podcast will come up. So if you're coming into this podcast, right, Weight Loss for Women Over 40, and you're like, oh, she keeps referencing this podcast, whatever it is, just go to my website, put it in the search bar, and it should come up in the podcast. So I hope that was helpful for you. Um, Okay, so why mental energy drops after 40? There's a lot we've lived through after 40, right? And there's still so much more to come. But your brain becomes more efficient, but also less tolerant of nonsense. I want you to imagine the woman who is older than 40. She might be 40, she might be 50, she definitely is probably in her 60s or 70s. They don't give a crap. They're less tolerant of all the nonsense that's going on, right? And I think that comes with wisdom. I think that comes with acceptance of who you are and loving it. But after 40, you just become less tolerant of all the nonsense that's going on, right? It stops filtering excess input quietly. So what you used to tolerate now feels really overwhelming. And it's not old age, like you're not declining, like anything like that. You're refining it. You're in a refinement. And your brain is asking you to just live more cleanly, more with more clarity. It's probably a better way to put it. So, mental energy is not created by effort. It is protected by boundaries in your thinking, right? We have what, 60,000 thoughts, I believe it was stated, that we think on a regular basis. How many of those are about your weight, about what you're going to eat, about your food, all that stuff? Just as a side note, that's a lot of time that you're spending on it. And if you don't want to spend that much energy and mental capacity on your body, your weight, you definitely need to get in the small group program. Um, so again, the boundaries in your thinking, right? You want to protect them. You don't need to be like sharper. You don't need like all these tactics and stuff. You just need to optimize your brain. You need to stop spending energy on things that were never yours to carry. We spend a lot of time with other people's baggage. You can put it down. It's time, right? And if you need help with that, I'm your girl. So, what you actually need, right? You don't need any more diet tips, right? This whole energy ties into weight loss because when your energy is drained, what do you want to do? You want to go emotionally eat. You want to beat yourself up. You want to berate yourself. You want to be like, this sucks and I need a reward. I need a treat. I need whatever, right? What you need is permission to push pause on some of these thoughts. Of those 60,000 thoughts, I'm just going to take a generalization. Maybe 10,000 might be important. I don't know. I think that's very generous. We probably only need like 2,000 thoughts. I don't know. Again, that's not scientifically based. You need permission to make a decision. This is a big thing, especially when women come on a call with me. Making a decision, whether you work with me or not, is so clarifying, right? Because when you decide something, it means you're cutting off everything else. And when you do that, everything goes away. Like there's less decisions to make, right? So if you're married or if you're in a committed relationship, you decided, hey, I'm going to be with this person. So if somebody else comes up to you and is like, hey, you want to go on a date? You're like, no, I'm good, right? Because you made the decision to be committed to this one person. But making the decision to be committed to yourself, to get the body that you want, to get into a program that actually works, and to decide to be all in, I know that can be scary. You guys have tried a lot of crap. I've talked to a lot of women who have tried everything from shots, from pills to hypnosis to everything. I am like their last stop. I get it. You've tried everything. And you feel like, oh, one more thing I'm going to be disappointed at. Go to my success story page and read all the success. And again, it's about the mindset shift that you're going to get, and the weight loss is the side effect. So when you make decisions, I think a lot of times we got to weigh the pros and cons. No, you don't. You know in an instant whether you want to do something or not. Make a decision. Make a decision. All right, enough about that part. The other permission you need is let something be unfinished. Maybe it doesn't need to get done. The laundry police are not coming after you if you leave your clothes in the dryer for a day or two, or three, or a week. Who cares? Right? Let some things be unfinished. Let people feel uncomfortable in their emotions. You don't need to take care of everybody's feelings. You need to take care of your feelings. And not everything needs to be solved today, right? Again, your brain, I'll go back to my instance the other day. My brain wanted to solve every single problem that I have in one day. And I think it's interesting because, I know for me, my brain likes to solve problems. I love solving problems. And if I don't have a problem to actually solve, my brain freaks out and tries to find things that it thinks is a problem when it's actually not. So keep in mind, right? Some things need to be maybe solved today. What am I going to eat? I got to eat something because I'm hungry, right? That kind of thing needs to be solved. But something that is big and gnarly or someone else's issue doesn't necessarily need to be solved today. When you allow those things to happen, the mental energy returns naturally, right? It's almost like a reboot. So mental exhaustion leads to the efforts, right? The emotional eating, the why should I bother? the I suck spiral. And it's because you've been mentally available to everything and everyone without any recovery and without mindset skills that can teach you that you are not responsible for other people's feelings. I talk about this in all my programs because, again, you guys listening to this podcast right now, I want to be very crystal clear. And this is not, I don't want to come off as an ego thing, but what I do with my clients is such a transformation of your life, not just the weight. I'm getting emotional because it's so impactful for my clients. And again, I'm saying this from the feedback that they give me and how they say I've changed their lives. And I take that very humbly and I take that very proudly because I feel like I was given this gift to help you. And it's so fascinating, the psychology around why we carry around extra weight. So if you've done all the diets, I want you to know that what I do is so different. It is not a diet. It is not, even though it is a 12-week program, it's not a 12-week program. It is a set you up for life so you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it and how to get the results you want. Whew. The mental work is where it's at. The mental work is what you need to do. You don't need to know what foods to eat, how many calories to eat, what macros to eat, how much workout to do. You need to get your mindset squared away first. So again, stop being mentally available to everything and everyone. You need some boundaries. So the series that we're doing again is about restoring energy by changing your internal rules that you live by. And the mental energy is where everything begins, right? We spend a lot of time in our heads, or we numb ourselves so we can get out of all the stuff that's in our heads. And numbing ourselves could be shopping excessively. It could be emotionally eating, right? Going to the bakery, getting a bunch of donuts. It could be just kind of in that go, 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 go momentum so you don't have to think about it, right? So next time we're going to go even deeper into how emotional pressure drains us physically and how we can reverse it. So just keep in mind, wherever you're at in your journey, you are exactly in the right spot. If you're listening to this podcast, you are meant to listen to it. That's what I believe. I believe that things happen for a reason. And I think that people show up in our lives for certain reasons. And when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I know that has been my, I want to say occurrence. I don't know if that's the right word, but that's how it's happened in my life. When I needed someone to guide me, they showed up. So if I am that guide for you, listen to it. Follow your instincts. Okay. So I want you to stay tuned for next week's episode on the movement that boosts energy without the gym. And if you feel called to, I want to invite you to go apply to the small group. It's at Weight Loss for Women Over 40, 40 at the end there, .net/group. The link will be in the show notes. We are starting in February. I am looking forward to working with these 15 women in the group because in 12 weeks, wow, I can't wait. Oh my gosh. It's going to be so much fun. I'll leave it at that. All right. Have a beautiful day. And I am going to sign off. Toodles.